Today I'm going to begin some work on my Gamewell Fire Alarm Box. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay everyone, so as you can see here, I have a Gamewell Fire Alarm Box. Now you may have known that back a long time ago, there used to be Gamewell street boxes mounted in many cities around the US, Trenton being one of them where this box was pulled out from, and many others such as Boston and Baltimore and other states and cities and other places. Now, in this video, I'm going to be basically doing a bunch of stuff. So for part one, I'm going to be removing all the components out of the unit. So inside the unit, you're going to see a bunch of components which all work together to control this box. As you can see, the box is currently in rough shape. I do plan on trying to fix the entire box. Now, I also do want to try to preserve some stuff that is seen in this box, such as the numbers, which you really can't see, which I'm going to hopefully fix. The numbers which are on the box, which basically would tell you where the box was pulled, and there's a bunch of other history behind that, which I can talk about in another video. But anyway, today I'm just going to start by removing some electrical components. Okay, to start off, I'm going to be basically starting where the gears are. So I'm basically going to start turning some of these screws and removing them, and then I'm going to get this entire piece right here and bring this out. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it on camera because it's going to be very fragile and I'm going to have to be very careful. But I am going to begin trying to loosen some of the screws and trying to get this circular box out of here. And there's a lot of neat history behind the Gamewell Fire Alarm Boxes. You can do a lot of research online and you'll learn a lot. There's a group called the Gamewell Collectors Group on Facebook, and you can join their group. You do need admin approval, but you can join their group on Facebook. And you are able to. So here's the first screw. Right there. So I'm just going to put that at the bottom. Let's see, no screw over there. There's another screw. I'm also going to be cleaning the inside of this box because before I paint it, I want to make sure everything is nice and clean. Because I want this thing to look nice. There are paint suggestions that people do have in the Gamewell Collectors group. So I'll also be looking at many of the files. But I would recommend definitely join that group if you can. There's a lot of interesting information. And I do apologize for the background noise. I'm doing this outside because this is a metal box and I don't want to get all the dirt inside of my house. So I'm gonna just get this screw out of here. Okay, let's see if I can get it. Whoop. All right, there's another screw. And now I'm going to start disconnecting this screw. This screw is right next to this little wire right here, so I'm going to have to kind of be very careful that I don't damage anything, because these boxes are very fragile. And a fun fact, this box was actually the most pulled alarm box in Trenton, so that is very interesting history behind this box. You don't hear a lot of things like that, like a lot of like different facts like that. But you can go to a lot of fire museums all across the country, and you can learn more, and you can see the different boxes. There's several of them, so it's very interesting history behind it. But still trying to get this. I'm going to have to do this off camera. Okay, so at this point I've basically removed all the screws and bolts and anything that is connecting this thing to the box. And in a couple of minutes, I'm going to start removing this big circular piece, along with trying to get the metal electrical components moved around. Like I said, I have to be very careful because this box actually I'm not. Technically, I don't own this box, but I am asked to try to get this thing to working order. So I am going to try and get this thing in the best shape as possible, and get this thing into working condition. So for the next couple things I have to do. I'm probably not going to be on camera just because they're going to be very hard to do while, you know, being on camera. I also wanted to mention I have this big red bracket piece right here. I'm also going to be repainting this and doing some work to this. Just thought I would show you guys. There's nothing really special here other than it would keep this thing, I guess, hooked on. I'm gonna have to figure out how that works a little bit later, but eventually I will figure that out. Okay, so for this part, I'm going to just start by removing a couple of electrical components. So I'm just going to remove this component right here, which is basically keeping this on the electrical board. I also got to make sure that I have all my screws and make sure I'm not losing anything, because these parts are very scarce and very hard to get anymore. So I have to be very, very careful with, and it comes with a washer on the back. As you can see, there's the wires actually in pretty good condition, despite it being very old. So that's really good. Like I said, the parts are very scarce and they're hard to get anymore. So you have to be very careful with what you're messing with, and also making sure like you're not going to ruin the unit and make it like not function. So you have to be very careful. Okay, so to organize things and make things a little bit easier, I made two little baggies, which I'm going to fill up with components. So this is going to be the electrical bag where I'm going to keep all the electrical screws or anything that has to do with electric. These are going to be for like the main box screws, so like the screws you saw me pull out of that piece right there. So I'm going to sort some of these pieces out into the bags, and then I will go ahead and start working on some other parts. Okay, so to be extra safe, I do have some nitrile gloves on, just to be safe, because I'm dealing with a lot of rusted out parts, and some parts have oil on them, and so other parts have other chemicals on them. So I do want to be careful, when touching some of the tools. So that's why I'm using these gloves, which will help me not get so much rust and other things on my hand. So now I will go ahead and start working on some other parts. Let me just grab another tool. So this is a flathead screwdriver right there. I think you've all seen a flathead before. So I'm going to start loosening another one of the electrical components. It's kind of hard to see into the box. I apologize. It's just the way the tripod is mounted. It's just kind of hard. Okay, so I've got the screw, and I'm going to bring this screw into my, gotta be very careful. All right, there we go. And I'm going to bring this screw into put it into my electrical bag. So hold on 1 second. Okay, so at this point I've removed the big gearbox, and as you can see, the inside is pretty dirty. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that after I remove all the electrical things. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to remove this part, but I'm going to have to see. It looks like it's... Actually, I might be able to. I didn't think I was going to be able to. Looking at it now, I should be able to. But I removed that big gearbox, and all the electrical components that were connected to that board have been removed. I did take pictures prior to working on this box so that I know where everything should go. It's pretty easy to figure out how to wire, or not wire, but how to reconnect everything, especially if you have pictures of what it looked like before. I did not remove any of the gears. I'm not going to really get into the gears or anything behind the gears unless there's a problem with it. I have to try to fix something with that. But I'm not going to be getting into the gears or anything with that. I'm sure that there is plenty of other videos out there that talk about the gears and other components on it. But right now I'm just going to start removing the electrical board. So it's basically the same deal with the electrical board. All you're looking for are the screws that are tacking this thing down. So if you can see, there are 3 screws that are tacking this thing down. One, 2, 3. So I'm going to remove all those screws. It does not look like there's anything connecting down to the box, like no earth or anything. This is the bell that is going to make noise when this thing is fully working. As you can see, or hear, that's the noise of it. But when this thing was operational, this is what would be clicking it I have seen videos where people have connected up to other types of bells that are made by Gamewell. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing that, or I'm not really sure exactly if I'm going to connect to another bell. Pretty much I'm just kind of worried about getting this thing working and painted and making sure that the thing is restored to good working order. I also want to mention, there has been a lot of talk about like making sure the box does not look like it's does not look like it's plastic. I'm sure you guys have seen those pictures of ones that are plastic. A lot of them. There's a lot of them that are made from plastic that are like toy Gamewell boxes. I'm going to try to make this thing look as realistic as possible and make it look exactly what it would have looked like when it was mounted in Trenton. Alright, I will now go ahead and start removing some of the screws on the circuit board. Yep, some of these are going to be harder to turn than others because this thing is very old. Oop, if I can try to get this. Alright, I'm going to have to do this off camera. Okay, so I got one of the screws, so I'm going to start turning it and removing it. This is what's keeping this thing basically connected to the box. So I have to be very careful with what I'm removing and making sure that I'm removing the right things that should be connecting to this box. So give me 1 second. Okay, so I have a lot of the other electrical screws removed. So I now have to use my drill to remove some of them, as you can see right here. A lot of the components, like I said, are very rusted and are hard to get out, so I'm going to be using my power drill to get out a couple of them. So I'm going to just try and get this one out right here. Get this aligned. Alright, and now this screw is ready to be removed, so I'm now going to go ahead and get a set of pliers, because I'm going to use this just to grab a hold of it. And there we go. Here's another screw. This will go into the electrical bag. So there is only one more screw to remove, and that screw is right here. It's kind of you know, I just have to kind of get it out of here. So this one's on here pretty tight, so I have to try really hard to get that one out. So I ended up having to get an even stronger drill. This one is a wired drill, as you can see right here. The one I had earlier was wireless and it just wasn't really charged all the way, so that's kind of my own fault for not charging it. So I just used this hardwired drill and I was able to get out the screw that had to be removed. So now I'm able to start removing the other screw, which took me at least 10 minutes to try to get out. So it's out, so now I will go ahead and get my pliers. Just as a reminder, when you're working with electrical tools, especially when they're wired, unplug them after you're done with them. Sometimes things can go wrong, especially when working with power tools such as a saw. So always unplug them after you're done working with them. Have supervision. You know, be safe out there. So there's another screw, and I've now gotten all the rest of the electrical components removed. So there's the other screw. So now I will go ahead and work on trying to clean the inside of the box. I do not believe I'm going to start painting today. The painting will begin on another day. You probably will not see that just because I don't want my phone to get ruined with spray paint. But you will see a picture of it when it's done, and a live video of it when it is done. But I'm still trying to work on fixing a couple of other components. I still have to remove that little bell off the side there. But for today, I think I'm going to call it a day after I'm done cleaning this box up. And then eventually I'm going to go ahead and spray paint the unit. Okay, so at this point, the entire inside of the box is pretty much dismantled. As you can see off to the right, you can see the little electrical board, but as you can see, it is very dirty inside, so it is due for a good cleaning. So I'm now going to go ahead and start cleaning it, but before I do that, I'm now going to go ahead and remove the bell. I have plugged in my drill, so now I will go ahead and remove the other screw. Let's see here, which I should be able to get rid of. Whoop. Whoop. Let's see here. Again, I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to scratch any components. Whoop. I think I'm going to have to remove this with a screwdriver. Let's see here. This screw is pretty rusted. Alright. Let's see here. Alright. I have now got. Let's see here. If I can get this thing out, this is kind of hard to get out. My face actually might be showing on camera. Alright, there we go. That's the bell that was inside. As you can see, a little bit rusted because of the rusted screw. There's the bell. So as you can see, the entire inside of the unit is now dismantled, and before I do anything else, I'm just going to unplug the drill. Again, always unplug your power tools when you're done with them so you don't cause a problem. But as you can see, pretty much everything is removed. So now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to I'm going to clean the inside of the box. Now again, I'm going to look at the options I do have for paint, and then I will go ahead and paint the unit. But for right now, I'm just going to start cleaning the inside of the unit. Okay, so to clean the inside of the unit, I'm just going to use some antibacterial wipes. There are other options I could use. Sorry about that background. But there are other options that I could use. But I'm just going to be using antibacterial wipes to see, hopefully that will do the job. Hopefully if I can get most of this, I'll be happy if I can get most of this out of here. There's a lot of just debris and dirt, you know, over the years. See, that's the first thing I got. So I'm just going to toss it off to the side. I'm going to need several wipes to wipe this thing, because again, there's a lot of debris and other things. It is safe to probably be using other materials. The main thing is, again, I wanted to make sure I had everything out so that I didn't damage anything. You guys may see like this little black piece of paper or electrical tape or something. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but that is to you know, kind of like help with like the electrical. There's another one. That's just to basically like be under the electrical and do other things. Okay, I'm just gonna keep working here, and hopefully I will make this part a little bit quicker. Probably is the first time. There are little segments where you're probably seeing my face, so that's the first time that many of you have seen my face. I don't show my face often because I don't want, you know, people on the internet to know what I look like, just because privacy reasons. But you know, it just amazes me how. So basically, if you're looking right here, this is the main paint that would have been on it at first. As you can see, this paint is perfectly fine. However, again, I I'm just going to be giving it a new coat. It just sort of needs it, if you know what I mean. So some of this cleaning I'm going to be doing off camera, just because some parts can get a little bit dicey. Let's see here. But during the process of me painting this belt, that black piece you do see right there, that is going to stay. As of right now, I'm not sure if I'm going to remove it. Hopefully, I think more than likely I'm just going to keep it, just, you know, to keep it. Dang. Just to keep it. Alright. And most of the stuff I've been able to get out of here, so that's a good sign. I like that the old paint is still on here. It definitely does preserve the box a little bit. Like, there isn't much to clean up on this front part, because, you know, this, again, I am going to be trying to preserve this because there are numbers here. When I do paint this thing, I am going to make sure that I preserve this little part, especially being that these numbers are here. I'm not sure if I'm going to paint these. I think so. Probably paint them in white, or what it would look like. I still need to do some research on this box. I believe this box is kind of rare by what some of my research has suggested, but I'm not entirely sure. There's a lot of different scenarios with this box. Each box is different, you know. There's a lot of different things that each box specializes in. These components I probably will not remove. I mean, I kind of want to keep them here just to, again, keep them there, unless there's like really a need to remove them. But let's see what I can get. All right, so I think that's going to clean up the box for right now. So as you can see, the entire inside of the box is cleaned up. There are still a little bit of spots where there has been some wear and some other scraps, but for right now, I think this will do. Okay, so as you can see at this point, like I said, everything is cleaned up. I counted, and I did count 7 bacterial wipes that I used to clean this thing. There is still a lot of work to be done. Just removing the electrical components is just one part, which is completed, which is good. I will say I'm pretty surprised how easy it was. I did not expect it to be that easy when I received the box. It did not look like it would be that easy, but surprisingly it was, which is a good thing, which I'm really happy about. So I'll now go ahead and try and see if I can find some paint and see if I can find some information somewhere, like on that Gamewell collectors group, of what to use to paint the box. While I have this thing sitting in storage and in a safe place, I'm going to put some of the components back into the box, such as the gearbox and other components. This is just to keep this stuff safe. I do not want to have it just lingering in places, especially knowing that it could be lost or something could be broken. You never know what scenario you could run into, so I am going to be putting this into a safe place where I know it will not get destroyed or it will not be damaged. So I'm going to be putting some of the components back in. If I do encounter a little bit of dirt or dust, I will clean that out prior to spray painting. But for right now, I'm just going to be putting in some of the components. Okay, so I've sorted everything and put everything back into the box. As you can see, it looks exactly like what it looked like when I first started disassembling some parts. So I can now go ahead and close the box. Again, the bags you see in there, they are labeled like electrical and other materials that I have. They're all labeled, so I know exactly what goes to what. And just to reiterate, I did take some pictures, so I do know what goes to what. So when I go ahead and put this thing back together after it's painted, I know what goes to what. So I can just go ahead now and close the box, just like that. And hopefully next time when I start recording, you will see the paint. Okay, so a few days later, it was finally time to get all the old paint off. So as you can see right here, I'm currently trying to get all the old paint off. A special thanks to my neighbor for helping me do this. I did not have a glass or sand blaster, so he did, and he was able to blast all the old paint off, and I do give a lot of credit to him and thank him for that. After finally removing all the old paint, it was finally time to select a paint or spray paint that I wanted. So in this PDF, as you can see, there are paint suggestions. I did get this off of the Gamewell Collectors Group, so all credit goes to the original owner of this document, the administrator of the group. So as you can see, there are a bunch of suggestions and things you can do. So I was deciding what did I want to do, and I decided to go with the Regal Red Gloss from Rust-Oleum, and it came out really well. I'm going to say I'm very impressed with how it came out. Came out exactly how I wanted to, and I will show a picture of that. Okay, so all the painting is done at this point, so I'm now able to add all the components back. So as you can see, we had the white letters there, all the red, Regal Red, with my Rust-Oleum spray paint. This is the inside. As you can see, looks good as new. So today I'm going to be basically adding all the components back. So the first component I'm going to start with is the bell. The bell is mounted right here. This is what goes off in the box when the box is active. So I'm now going to go ahead and start working. Okay, so I have the little bell here, as you can see. So now I'm just going to install it into the unit. So I'm just going to try to align this to the best of my ability. Let's see, I think that's it. And now I'm going to start turning it. Okay, so I had to do this off camera, but as you can see, the bell is now reinstalled. So I'm now going to go ahead and start adding back the entire circuit board. Okay, so at this point, I basically have the electrical board inside the box. So now I'm going to go ahead and start screwing all the screws back into the box, which keeps this down. Whoops. I'm just going to put that right there. I'm going to start screwing this in. Okay. Whoop. It's a little bit misaligned here. Maybe? I'm not sure. I have to look at this. Let's see. Okay, I think I gotta fix that one. Okay, I realigned the screws, so now everything's back in order. So now I'm gonna go ahead and finish tightening these screws. So I'm just gonna get my flathead screwdriver, and I'm going to start tightening these screws. But this is a very interesting piece of equipment, especially like the little electrical board right here. It's very interesting how it works. I'm hoping to get this thing up and running. So hopefully there'll be another part of this video where I'm going to show you guys this thing up and running. So let me just finish screwing these in. Let's see here. Alright, nice and tight. So now I'm going to go ahead and get the gearbox. Okay, I have the gearbox installed, but I did forget to mention that I do have to install some electrical components. So I'm just going to get the necessary electrical components, and I'm going to screw them on where they have to be screwed on. So for example, right here, I'm just going to get my flathead screwdriver. Let's see here. And I'm going to tighten this down. Let's see here. Okay, nice and tight. So now I'm going to go ahead and do another part. which is right here. This is a little bit tougher because it's kind of on an angle, so I'm going to try and do this to the best of my ability. So, let's see here. I'm gonna have to do this off camera. Okay, so at this point I've basically gotten all the electrical components installed, especially this one. I didn't show this one on camera because it was very hard to install this one, but eventually I did get it on. But all the electrical components are now assembled, so now I'm just gonna go ahead and start screwing the screws into the gearbox to keep it on the existing box itself. Okay, so at this point I'm just gonna install some of the outer screws. So I'm just gonna start by installing this screw right here. Just going to screw it into place. Let's see here. There we go. And now I'm going to get another screw. And I'm going to screw another one on, but I gotta move it around a little bit. There we go. So I'm now gonna go ahead and just put these screwdrivers down there. And now I'm gonna go ahead and add, whoop, I just got that one stuck. Okay, so I'm just gonna finish installing all these screws. So I'm just going to tighten this one up. This was the one that got stuck. I just need a pair of pliers to get it out of there. Sometimes it can get hard to get some of these screws out of here because the box is very packed together, so it can be very difficult sometimes. Boom, and the gearbox is now on there. And yeah, figured I would throw this in here. I also have the bracket that goes on the back of this thing. This was also painted. As you can see, it's a really nice piece that's painted now. So this would be what would be mounted on the back of the box. Rather it was installed in the street or just on the side of a building. Either way, hopefully I'm going to be using this. I'm not really sure yet, but if I do have plans to mount this, I will use this, but I'm going to keep this in safekeeping with this box. Okay, so at this point I pretty much have everything done as far as installing everything back into the box. Please look for a part 2 coming, where I hopefully will be wiring this thing up. They're pretty sophisticated boxes to wire up, but hopefully I will figure out how to do it. But if I do, I will put a part 2. But for right now, it's just going to be in the collection shelf, and it's going to be a good display piece. So here's the front. Once again, it's nicely painted. You can also see there are some numbers and like the Gamewell brand at the time. So yeah. Alright guys, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe, and have a great day. I will see you in the next video.